Welcome to the Rookie Lap. We had a pretty good race this weekend at Mexico. You know, a lot of very interesting restarts, but without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on into it.
Rolling, green, green, green. The rookie lap is green. All clear, go get them. No rookie moves. Well, I think you just said the best part was the restarts. Outside of that, I ain't too sure. We had some okay battles throughout every once in a while, but beyond the restarts, I think there was a lot of just spread out, not a complete whole lot of passing.
It had its share of excitement. I mean, it wasn't as good as some races, but it did have some good stuff. Gibbs was real good for a while. He ran up there for a while, and then something happened. I don't know. He burned his tires up or something and couldn't keep up. But it was a Shane show.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are going to say that it was a good race and there was a bunch of passing, because honestly, a lot of the people that finished up front started in the back, but I don't know that it was.
Yeah, a lot of that was pit strategy.
Yeah. So that's just, I specifically couldn't get past the part when Cole Custer was stuck in sixth, and he held up how many cars for how many laps?
He had a good line, 5 or 6 behind him that were right there and just couldn't do nothing with him there at the end of the race, that's for sure. And a couple finally got by him. McDowell did a good job of getting by him, but some of the ones that were stuck there, they couldn't do anything. Some good drivers with good cars. So.
Yeah, and it goes back to some stuff we've heard with how that works. The slower car just blocks and blocks and blocks until the faster cars start to fall off, and then they start dropping back too. I think we saw it extremely with Ross. He was right there on him for a long time, and we got down to the end, and he lost 7 spots quick.
Yeah, but look at Shane. What did he do at the end of the race? Run away about 16 seconds?
17, actually.
17, yeah. They need to take some lessons from him on how to make their car go around the racetrack. I believe if he'd have been in 10th place with 5 to go, he'd have still got to the front.
But you also got to think, this is what Shane is brought up here to do.
Yeah.
I mean, this was pretty much given
These
to the Shane race from the start.
These are supposed to be the best drivers in the world.
But everybody's got their strengths and weaknesses, though. I mean, you think about it, when you think about super speedway driver, who do you think of? Austin Cindric, at least I do. You think about intermediate track drivers, you think of a Denny Hamlin or a Larson. Short track drivers.
Well, yeah, and if it's the best drivers in the world, they're racing the best drivers in the world, so they're not just going to outclass the people in front of them either.
Yeah, I think that's a little notch in his belt, but a little embarrassment on the NASCAR drivers for being whipped that bad. I mean, I've seen some road course races years past where somebody just got hooked up and gone, but he just flat out is out driving them right now. He's a better driver on road courses than them, and they need to up their game. Simple as that.
Do you think it's because of the you need to go into it more because, you know.
Because his driving style with a clutch and all,
yeah.
It's 2 foot. Yeah, I definitely do. And there used to be some drivers that did more of that kind of thing, and I think they've learned to do different now and don't do it. Were the older drivers be able to keep up with him? I doubt it. But, yeah, I think how else can he make his tires last and run fast laps at the end of the race when nobody else can? It's got to be a difference in the driving style. I mean, you got 2 other cars on his team with him. They should have had at least close to as good as cars, and you got all these other teams with much more engineering and people, so theirs should have been as good. The driver has to be able to manage things, and he's doing a heck of a lot better job at these tracks than they are.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Sometimes I wonder, I know he's still getting used to the other tracks, but I feel like his skill at managing stuff should show up more at other tracks. Like, maybe he doesn't run great, but I still feel like at tracks that have some tire fall off, I would expect that to show more, but maybe saving.
It's his first year in a Cup car, too.
Yeah.
Let's see what 2 or 3 years down the road, if he races that long, let's see what that shows. But
yeah,
we'll find out, I guess.
Yeah. Well.
But it wasn't a terrible race. It just, like I say, once they got stretched out, they were going crazy on the restart. So, man, they were what, 4 or 5 wide, everybody trying to get down in the corner. That was real interesting. There was a couple people that got held up that made some moves on people, probably not as many as I've seen in years past, but, I mean, there were a few of them that got bumped and pushed out of the way.
Yeah.
Tell you what, though, I really do think that this race was made to look a lot more entertaining than what it would have been, say, on, because Prime so far this year has knocked it out of the park with their, production that they've done everything. So watching it the whole time, I kept thinking about Dakota and how Fox did that, and I was bored watching that race, and it really wasn't a bad race when I watched Dakota. But so I think that Prime really does a lot of good job making it, come across more entertaining, especially to people watching it, when you're watching it at home on the TV, because that does a lot to enhance your experience too with it, and just because the race can be the best race you've ever watched, but if you keep the camera in one place the whole time or don't do a good enough job at that, it's going to be boring.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and we got one more week of them, and then they're gone. Hopefully it won't change too much because the setup, I think, is pretty much the same when they switch to TNT. It'll just be a different platform, but I guess we'll have to see. We better enjoy it while we got them, though.
Yeah.
One more week. So I want to go ahead and talk about one of the big things, Ricky and Hocevar.
Oh, boy.
Thoughts?
Hocevar screwed up.
Yeah.
But what I've seen as far as the fans, boy, they're all behind him.
I'm
There's
behind
a whole. I thought there were a lot of Denny haters. There's a lot of Ricky haters too out there.
Yes, I've seen I think a lot of people can say Carson kind of screwed that one up, but even with him screwing it up, he still had a bunch of people supporting him for doing it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. They're 50-50. You think Ricky's going to actually do something about it?
No. Yeah, he'll hit him in the face, and then he'll call his dad to finish the fight, about like he did, with Kyle Busch. But I think that I don't think he'll do it. I think Ricky's all talk, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like Ricky, is because he'll wreck people and stuff like that, and then he'll get all mad when somebody else does it to him, accident or on purpose or whatnot. But the other problem with him is he'll go talk the talk, but he doesn't have no driving really skill to really back it up, because that's how a lot of them drivers used to be back in the day. When they talk tough, you go back on the track, and a lot of them would have the skill to make up for it or something, or they'd come back and get you the other week. But Ricky,
You
just
can't
don't have
talk complete skill in them guys driving for a 15-employee, one-car team. But
Well.
I think this is really going to show whether Ricky is about action or words, because I think after the first one, they came to the agreement that it would do no good for them to go back and forth wrecking each other. But now we're at strike 2, and Ricky's had enough. And so I think this is going to show whether he means it or not. But
Well, the other side of that is you don't think NASCAR's done stepped in and say, hey, I don't want to see this carry over.
no, I don't think so, because they're looking for their next
their commercial spot.
for the next
Well,
2 years.
Yeah, it might
And they're
be.
going to get a pretty big chunk of change out of it, too, when they
Yeah,
do that.
so-
They'll put them in every commercial for, next 2 years when they go race that track again, if they go to race at that track again. And then they'll find them about, what was it they find?
I think
It's
75,000.
about, 75,000. That'll get them, maybe another car or something out there.
I don't know, and I don't know where y'all are on it. I don't mind Hocevar, and I like the personality he brings, but I'm also ready for somebody else to step in and do something, just because I think as a young driver, he needs that experience, and it would be entertaining for us. Like, you had Ross going through his whole ordeal, and whether for better or worse, him and Denny got into it for those few weeks, and that was entertaining. Maybe stupid, maybe not, but whatever. And I don't think we've had anything since then, really. I'm ready for something to happen.
All right, we'll go back. Let's go back and address this part of it then. Put yourself in Ricky Stenhouse's car and that happened to you this week. What would you have done? I'd have got out wanting to kick his.
Yeah. Well,
I've been there. I know. That's what I would have done. I would have got out mad and I would have went to him.
that's what he told him when he went to the car, but he didn't let him get out first. And
No, I understand that. But you got to put yourself in his shoes sometime. Everybody's saying, oh, Ricky's this and Ricky's that. But if you'd have been in that car and you'd have got wrecked again or spun out again, you'd have been mad. Same guy over and over. You know, it's done happened a few
Yeah.
times. Hey, let's put a stop to this.
Yeah,
Whether you like Ricky or not, if it was say it was your driver, whoever your favorite driver is, put him in there. What if he had done it to him a couple of times? What would you expect
I
him
agree.
to do?
Yeah, I
No,
agree.
no, that's not true. Larson wouldn't do anything.
No,
we know that. we know that for sure.
Yeah, you can't push no man but so far.
I don't know.
I wonder too if it would have been different in the country, because I also don't know that Ricky would have been able to make some kind of deal for assault or whatever they'd call it in Mexico. He might have got thrown in prison, and the rest of the industry came back home, and he didn't. And then what's he going to do?
Oh yeah,
And
there's
that's why
something to that. We don't know what the truth is.
Well,
there,
he
but-
did
but-
tell him he
he-
was going to beat him up when he got back to the
Yeah,
States.
so I think Ricky
so.
was waiting to get back in the country.
Well, does that mean Texas or all the way back to North Carolina?
I don't know.
Well, you know what he's going to do? He's going to be at like the airplane terminal or something. He's going to be standing up like he did outside of Kyle's
Yeah,
trailer. Little
somebody
Clint
just-
Eastwood pose is what they
There
called
you
it
go.
last time.
Better be looking for the camouflage shorts.
Well, I just ain't gonna put all my hate on Ricky like a lot
No,
of
I'm
people. do.
not.
I try to put myself in the driver's shoes sometime, and I would have been angry too.
I'm not hating on him at all. I just want to see him actually do something. I've heard enough of the, we don't like Hocevar doing this. I'm tired of him racing this way. Blah, blah, blah. Cry, cry, cry. And then we're okay. Okay.
But I also,
Why would he
Now,
stop?
old school drivers, he'd have got walled a few times.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's what would have happened.
But the other thing about Hocevar is, though, which I give him credit for, he doesn't just go out there and say, "Yeah, I meant to do that," or after every race, he's like, "Yeah, it was on me. I did it. I made a dumb move. I did that." So he's not going out there just smack talking after either, So it could be worse. He could just have no skill and then go out there and be like, "Oh, he's just being mad over nothing." He's like, "No, I get it.
He's gotten better about that. I think maybe if he gets put in the wall a few times, he might mean his words a little more than just saying them.
Well, y'all haven't yet, but I done been 22, and it's gonna happen when you're 22 years old. You're gonna do crap like that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're that far up the totem pole in that race car. He's at the pinnacle of racing right now. A 22-year-old in that situation, there's a whole lot on him, honestly. He's got to prove himself, and maybe he's trying too hard sometime to prove himself. I don't know, but he's got to learn. Everybody else has.
It's killing him because he's got all this speed, and there's been a few times it wasn't his fault, but if we look, he's only finished in the top 20 like once in the last 5 races or so. He's just...
Yeah, a couple of them not his fault, but yeah.
The results are killing him. I think if he would run smart and get these good finishes, and a couple of things go his way that haven't, I think he would solidly be in the playoffs right now, and instead, he's nowhere near it, really. How far back is he?
I got your standings right here, actually. He's
minus 60. So,
yeah.
that's not terribly far, but I think he could be way closer if he'd drive a little smarter.
Right now, he's 20th in the standings.
Yeah.
So he's not the worst off out of them, but he ain't
but-
doing the best.
It's
Can I
it's
just-
about maturity, that's all.
Yeah.
I just want to say, can we make this a movement to try and get NASCAR to do I think it's a dirt track thing where if somebody wants to fight, we say meet on the front stretch.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that to be a thing.
Well, if you're going to take it and you're going to show it in your commercials and you're going to publicize it and be like, look at how cool NASCAR is. Our guys fight.
But you
got
gotta have 2 willing participants too, though.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah, I
they're willing.
know. And I'm fine with that part, because if you back out, then everybody's going to make fun of you. But
Yeah.
let it be an option. But
You talking about boxing ring, the whole thing?
I don't care. Just let them
I'd
fight.
pay to watch that. Yeah. Heck, I'd go there just in the hopes that the drivers fight. I watch the race and be like, oh, I don't care who won, who's
Well,
fighting.
back in the 70s, it was basically, we used to go to a fight and a race would break out. I mean, that's what
yeah.
it seemed like it was sometimes back then. But
So who would win between them two?
I don't know. I saw something earlier on the internet that Carson was a black belt or something now. Whether it was somebody
Oh,
BSing,
boy.
I don't know. But
Carson's also taller
From what
than
I've
he
been
is.
able to tell, Carson's, I'm blind for the people that don't know. And he's just tall and skinny.
He is.
He's very.
Yeah.
I think he's like 6'4" and probably 87 pounds or
Yeah,
something.
so
But
one hit in the stomach. And that's the other thing I've heard the last few weeks. I think at Michigan, maybe it wasn't Michigan, it was a couple weeks ago, he got out of the car and just went over and threw up. And yesterday he couldn't walk because he said something was wrong with his foot. He seems to be
a little fragile.
yeah, so
Maybe.
Ricky might put the Mississippi on him.
Old Dale Earnhardt looking down there. He just frowning after he drove for, what was it? He drove for a season with a broken neck or something like that. And
Yeah.
here these boys are. Oh, my leg hurts.
Yeah.
There's
No.
one thing I want to give Hocevar credit for. I don't know if y'all saw his tweet last night after the race. But he came back because before the race, he made some comments about Mexico and the city and all that weren't the greatest online and got a lot of bad outlooks on him. But after the race, he came back and he said, after racing in front of some of the most passionate fans that he's ever seen, he's embarrassed by his comment, by his race, and he said if anybody needs to give the benefit of the doubt to somebody, it's him, because of the stuff he's done, and that he owes them an apology. And he said he might have to move there to hide out from Ricky anyway. So
No, I didn't see that one, but that's pretty good.
yeah, so I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah, that was something that you could see from the little bit that you could see in the stands. That they were some very passionate fans. They were glad that they got that race there.
Yeah,
I have my questions about how it was going to work out down there, but I think all in all, as far as the race situation, it couldn't have been much better.
yeah. So I got more stuff on the
In fact, when they said when Suarez won that he couldn't even hear because the crowd was so loud.
Yeah, he couldn't hear his car because
Yeah.
the crowd was screaming so much. Yeah, I got more on the Mexico fan stuff when we move forward, so I'll save that for later.
I got a little more on the host of our comments. But
What you got?
Well, I'll save that for
Okay.
later on.
All right. How about I got a couple drivers. Number one, Bowman. I guess we'll go with a good one first. Finally turns it around, which we mentioned he might. Never finished outside the top 20 road course. Got him a top 5 while being hurt. They didn't know if he was going to race earlier on this week, so I think that's real good for them. He finally got him a top 5, and
Yeah, I think you could boil that down to him just driving a real smart race. When the couple cars that finally got by him near the end, he didn't do something stupid like a whole lot of blocking, trying to hold them up, running a different line. He knew what he had. He got the finish that he probably deserved and that he could get out of that car. So I think that was a real good race for him.
yeah. And then we got, sticking on, honestly, a good bit of the Hendrick guys. We got Elliott. Finally got him a top 5 also.
Yeah.
Which I guess we want to say he's been consistent, not outside the top 20, but top 5, not top 20. So
No, and he basically did the same thing, just kind of in the reverse. His got a little better. I think he had better tires
he
towards the
drove
end.
forward, yeah, because
Yeah.
he restarted back there with Gibbs, and
Yeah.
Gibbs
Which
finished
was real
like
surprising to me because Gibbs was good, and in that last run, it was just like, well, I'm okay now, and he just couldn't get nothing out of it. And it wasn't from lack of trying. I saw some times where he tried to pitch the car in there, but it just didn't look like it would stick.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but Chase came forward and finally got him a run that we can talk good about.
Yeah.
So,
he don't need to be kicked out of the car now?
not this week.
Okay,
we'll
we'll
check
keep him in
again
for at
next
least
week.
one more week. All right.
Yeah. How about I got a couple guys on the downside. Number one, they're both Kyle's. Which one we want to pick first?
Well, it was one Kyle's fault,
Yeah.
so
The other
I
one
guess,
just got caught.
I guess let's go with the guy that accidentally got caught up in it first. He's had some bad weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah. So I don't remember his exact finishes, but he has not had many good races in the last month or two, ever since the Indy 500.
But he still, think about this, he still got his mind in the game. He's still thinking about what did he do when he went back in, or when he came back on the track. I don't think it eventually finally happened, but he wanted to set the fast lap to get that one more point. He's got his head in the game. Things didn't go his way, but he was thinking, hey, what if I go out there and set a fast lap? That's that one point that I needed last year.
And he was driving the wheels off that car, too.
Yeah. And I do think, I don't know, and I heard, but I'm not positive, I think Shane finally got the fastest lap at the end of the race.
He did,
okay. Yeah. But he made that effort, and that's something that I don't think a lot of drivers would have thought about after getting wrecked out early and knowing that they were going to finish, next to last that day. So
yeah,
you have to give him props for that.
There's a couple things. I'm not saying this on him, and honestly, I'm saying he's had a lot of bad runs, but it doesn't even really. It kind of shows up on the stat sheet, but if we go back to Michigan, he wasn't that great, and then ended up finishing 5th or 6th. We go to Nashville, he was about to get lapped, running 30th, and he got a top 10. So they're turning these days around. It's just their speed seems to be missing right now, and I guess we don't know about yesterday because you didn't really get the chance, but I'm starting to wonder. I think this coming week will really show, but right now I'm just wondering if
you think the 24 rubbed off on him this year, where he has his slump every year.
I don't know, but he wasn't.
It usually happens to Byron every year about this time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just on him this time around.
I guess we'll see. It's only been a few races, and like we said, they've turned it around every week. Yeah. Most weeks it has happened, so I don't know.
He didn't lose his touch. Just things hadn't been right, I believe.
And actually, I want to say I saw, stat-wise, this is actually tracking to be his best season he's ever had as far as top tens and all that stuff, which I can't believe, but apparently the numbers look that way, even with all of this. So who knows?
Yeah, think about it. How many times did he ran up near the front and he'll get it right out there on that wall and smack the wall, and it cost him something, He's pushing it every lap. So it's either going to work out great or it might bite you.
And speaking of pushing it, Busch, just another week of trying too hard, but I think this one was more his fault than the other ones.
Yeah, he drove in about 40 car lengths too deep.
Yeah.
So,
at least he owned it, so.
Yeah.
It's just disappointing because road courses have been one of the few tracks that team's been really strong at, and he competed for a win at the first one this year.
Yeah. And
being on that bubble before SVG won, this was their real shot to get up and make up points on people like Priest and them, and it actually ended up going the other way. Priest got him a stage win and everything else, and they're just digging a deeper hole. He's looking at, what is it now, minus, let me see. Busch is now minus 50 points on the cut line, and he was just
You're
tied.
Looking at how far behind he's.
That's right. Sorry, I looked at the wrong stat.
Yeah.
So.
He's still got some more road courses. He got some more decent tracks that's coming up. Yeah, so maybe we'll see.
And a couple plate tracks. So.
He's still not in a top 3 car, but.
He's not. It's one of those things. Ricky, especially through everything until the last 3 weeks. Ricky was up there fighting in the playoffs. They're not a great team, but they've just been clean. They haven't gotten penalties. They haven't done stupid stuff. They've taken the car they had and done the best they could with it and not overstepped it. And I think that's something that the 8 crew needs to really look at and try and go for too, because they're the opposite. They're also not the fastest, but on top, they just multiply their problems by pit road penalties, whether on him or the crew, or him overdriving and trying to get more speed and wrecking. But oh well, it happened.
Yeah, ain't much we can do about it, and ain't much he can do about it now, but pull his britches back up and get back after it next week.
Yeah.
And realize I think one thing is maybe he needs to do is he was king of the hill for a long time, or real close to it. Now he's in something where he's middle of the road. He's going to have to accept that, and when he does have that good car that's just real good under him, then do something. But other than that, he's going to have to take those 12th, 15th place finishes if he can get it, and if he can turn it into a top 10, do that. But you're going to, Ricky's been racing that way for a long time, so it's easier for him. Kyle's used to being up there, fighting with people for the lead or at least top 5 finishes, and it's
Yeah.
just not coming now. So I know it's got to be more difficult for him to run back there than some of the ones that aren't used to it.
That's true, and the thing that makes me wonder, do you think it's starting to get in his head, or do you think he's mentally strong enough that it doesn't bother him?
Well, it's tough to say.
He should be mature enough now, as much as he's been racing, as long as he's been racing, that he can overcome that. But you don't know what's in a man's mind.
No, and with how competitive we know he is, it might be bothering him.
Yeah.
That's
What did he say that to Ricky that time? I suck just as bad as you do.
Yeah.
yeah. So who knows? Oh well. The thing I wonder about this one in particular, I saw where his wife said that he was really optimistic himself and excited that he thought this could be a really good day. And I think most weeks he does know that they don't have a winning car, and I wonder that weeks like this where they really actually might hit him harder. But
Okay.
like we said, there's nothing that can be changed. So
And something else about this race, though, in a total over the whole thing is I think this race was probably harder on crew chiefs than it was on drivers.
yeah. I don't think that.
Which
can
would
be-
you rather been in, the car or up there making calls? I believe I'd rather been in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you learn the track, I probably would take that over making them strategy calls.
Yeah, because it was going all over the place with that.
Yeah, I think there was definitely. I can't even count how many different strategies we had going on. So. Oh, y'all got any other drivers you want to talk about besides the man SVG?
I'd like to give a little shout out to something funny I saw, about the drivers. Of course, Christopher Bell did finish in the top 3. And I thought it was very funny, and I believe you saw it too because I saw your Twitter comment on it. But, he was up there in that sombrero and everything on that podium, and I
I
started
was
thinking,
gonna mention that later.
he is quite the Taco Bell.
Yeah. What do you
Yeah,
call
Taco
Christopher Bell in a sombrero, Frank?
Huh?
What do you call Christopher Bell?
I
in a
missed that
sombrero?
one. What is it?
Taco Bell.
Okay.
Yeah, that was funny.
I just thought I'd give him a little shout out, especially because has he had a top 3 finish in the past few weeks? I really don't. I don't think he has. I mean,
We don't normally look at top 3s.
Well, I know, but I mean, he had those like 3 in a row wins, So
He ain't hit on
he
much
hadn't.
since then.
No.
So
And I
for
think
him to get close.
another big thing with him, he's one of those guys, they started like 31st,
Mm-hmm.
winded up second, so
Climbed all the way up.
yeah. I guess mentioning the top 3. What's y'all's thoughts on the Mexico style with the podium?
Oh, I
Is
was
that
going.
something we should?
I was going to bring this up later too, but I'll talk about it now. I think it was cool for a one race thing, but I kind of don't. I don't care for it very much. I think that's kind of like a European, Formula One, whatever type, or Mexico deal, whatever. But I think after a lot of those races, those drivers are mad. They kind of ready to get it. When they didn't win or whatever, mad, upset, disappointed, or whatever. I mean.
Well, then why don't we lock them all up there and make them deal with it?
But I'm saying that after the race, though, it's hard. I don't know. It's aggravating for me to watch because I'm like, those guys aren't happy with that. So you're gonna make them they're gonna go sit on a podium. You tell them to shut up and play nice and go sit up on a podium and do all that. I think just let the fella roll his car in the victory lane and that be the end of it.
You
I've
act
never
like
been a fan
a lot
of
of them
podium.
have the personality that won't look that way anyway. Because I heard Chase look like he didn't care at all, like normal.
Chase never cares.
Yeah, that's my
It's
point.
something they've never done. They didn't want to do it.
No.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree, though. Do it down there. If you do it, whatever, let's do it for the fans if that's what they want down there. But let's leave it there.
Something else I have heard is their stadium section. I've heard that people want more of those if we have any other road courses in future. They said that the way they had that stadium set up was really, really cool because you had the guys coming straight through there. And
Yeah, that was different looking for sure.
Well, let's talk about him. Shane van Gisbergen did Shane van Gisbergen things.
He shared a little too much information.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Frank.
I watched
Yeah,
that.
I heard what he said in his interview. That was different. Had it coming out of both ends.
Yeah, I said, Shane,
Yeah.
I
didn't expect to hear that on television, but hey, the man called it like it was.
I mean, I did ask for more driver personality, but I don't think that's what I meant when I.
Well, he wasn't the only one from what I heard, so.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. Were they drinking the water or what?
They weren't. I think it was just Gregson told everybody he drunk it, but he said that was a joke.
They had some bad tamales down there. That's what it was, a little overcooked.
I don't know what was
I
causing
think it was just the altitude. It was really getting to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big change, and some people that have never done it before don't understand it. It takes a toll on you physically.
Yeah, and especially, I don't know who did and who didn't, but some of those drivers didn't train for it at all, so that might have been some of their issues.
Yeah, well, when you're young and think you're tough.
Oh, so
Yeah, you won't take care of yourself as well sometimes. So
yeah,
they learned.
Well, how about I got Suárez? We know he won the Xfinity race, and
that was scripted.
A lot of people said that, but
no, I'm only joking.
Suárez also got a good break by some of the people that got knocked out of the race earlier. Because he definitely, I don't think, could have beat them.
No.
Was it good for the race in Mexico? Being in Mexico, sure it was. But yeah, he definitely didn't have the fastest car all day. He didn't have a winning car. He just right place, right time. Yeah. It worked out.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I don't know if this is official, but he might be the only guy in NASCAR's history who did not qualify for the race and won, technically, because he only got in because of his provisional international driver. He didn't actually qualify in the field, so if he didn't have that, he wouldn't have been able to race because he wrecked out in qualifying, which that's embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at who got taken out or who wasn't able to have a good finish because of the wrecks that happened.
Yeah, no, I don't think he would have won if he kept Gibbs,
Zilich, Hill was fast. Allgaier probably would have been real good. I mean, there's a bunch of drivers. Bell, I mean, there's a whole lot of people that I don't think he would have outran. But I'm glad he did for the way the show played out and all. I think it worked out.
But I just kind of want to bounce between them here and trying to connect it. So this is what I'm trying to bring us to. You got him winning on Saturday on top of the world, probably one of the best days of his life. And then the next day, his teammate steals it, and I think we pretty much know Zilich is coming for a cup ride, so them two are the ones that are fighting for a spot. So he goes from being on top of the world to looking back at the reality that right now Shane's more likely to win than he is, and he might not be coming back to Cup next year.
You think they're going to move Zilich up that fast?
I don't know if it'll be next year, but I think it'll definitely be the year after that, if not. But Suárez's contract ends this year, so I think he might.
You know, the only thing that I can see there, though, is Suárez does have a big fan base. Most of them his amigos or his Mexicans? Probably so. But he's got a large fan base, and that means a whole lot in keeping a ride and getting sponsorship.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I was thinking. Suárez definitely has more money behind him.
Yeah.
And
Shane's probably got a lot of fans, too. I really don't know. I've never checked, but him coming over here, he's pretty popular. So.
Yeah, I don't know. When he wins, we know they get several more $1 million in playoffs, so he makes up some of the money there.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, it's technically not, but it's pretty much guaranteed to happen at least once every year when you got at least 6 road courses on the schedule.
Of course, you probably got a whole bunch of Cup drivers that would like to see him going at road courses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just something I'm starting to look at. We're going to have to be losing one of them soon. I got a feeling it might be Suárez. I don't know if you think he'll kind of go back to Xfinity or who knows.
He came here to race, you know. He came to the United States to race. He went through a lot, apparently, to get here and do it. So I don't think he's going nowhere. He's going to do whatever he can to stay in a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to transfer back over to the Saturday. With mentioning Bell having a bad day, did y'all know that apparently that whole time after he blew up, because he was in that car for a while, just sitting there, wasn't he?
Yeah, for a period of time, yeah.
Well, apparently it's because NASCAR told him to sit in that car until the stage ended, which, on one hand, I get because they're trying not to throw a caution for once in their life. But on the other hand, you preach safety first, and you've got him sitting in a blew-up car that's smoking up and eventually catching on fire. I don't like it, but maybe I'm just being too soft. I don't know.
It's definitely a little sketchy, but
That just made me mad.
Yeah. Where he was sitting, I don't think was a big danger as far as getting ran into, unless somebody hit him on pit road and they would have been slowed down then considerably. But still, they shouldn't have left him out there, I don't think.
No.
You don't want to throw cautions no more than you had to, but they've thrown some before for a lot less reason than that.
Yeah, and that was another topic. I'm tired of the cautions. It's just so many of them seem pointless, and others don't get thrown that should. And I guess we had a lot of inconsistency to start the year, and there hasn't been much recently. But can we please just get done having it at all? And when there needs to be one, throw one, and when there doesn't, don't. I think some of the random ones they threw with somebody spinning at the back of the pack, they say is because the leaders were coming. But then you got others. I heard a bunch of people that were pretty scared for Herbst when he got sideways, and he didn't get a caution, did he?
No, he didn't get a caution, but he pulled right out in front of him. I think the way he pulled back onto the track was not very smart at all. He had an opportunity to back up there and get turned over by the wall, but he just looped right around. And, yeah, him and Stenhouse just about had a bad melee. He just about got slammed in the door hard.
So
that was a real good move by Ricky to miss that.
I'm ready for something better to be done there, because
yeah, a little more consistency, I guess, and when they do and don't call cautions. I can agree with that.
like on the first lap, do y'all think there should have been one for that sprinkle? I think they should have told the drivers to
deal with it.
If you want them, come get them. If you don't, I don't know. I guess we'll get into that later, Frank. But
Yeah.
Get into it.
no, we'll save it for a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I think let's see, checking my notes here. How about Zilish and Gibbs? Them two going at it with each other on lap one.
Heck, what I saw looked to me like that Gibbs had gone back to his Xfinity days. He was ready to run like he used to.
Yeah.
If I don't like you, I'm going to run you over. If I do like you, I'm going to run you over anyhow.
Part of me wonders if it's because he was back in that series and he just feels better than them.
I don't know.
And also, I wonder if he finally got a good run in Cup last weekend and woke up. Who knows? But
Yeah, he was pretty aggressive.
yeah.
Like I said, it looked like the old Gibbs in the car.
Yeah.
The only thing I wonder, and I saw some people split on blaming him honestly, and because if you go back, I think the difference is Gibbs is just aggressive and doesn't seem to care. But if we go back to Zilish at like the last road course, he straight up wrecked his own teammate, didn't he? And a couple other guys, but he apologized for it, and I think he was just trying too hard.
Yeah.
But I don't know. those two both wrecked a bunch of people, and I think they just pretty much wrecked each other. So the outlook's the one thing I'll give Ty. If you go and look at him afterwards, he was smiling and easy about it afterwards, and he just said it's racing. He didn't cry about it, and so I guess if he's going to be that way, that's the way I want him to be, because I don't want to hear complaining if that's how he's going to race.
Yeah.
And Zillis just said that's the way Gibbs races. So.
That pretty much sums it up then, don't it?
Yep.
Pretty much.
There was a couple other funny things. I don't know if y'all knew Catherine Legg. She was in the race. And
You know, I saw her name on TV a couple times.
yeah. The only thing I found funny, apparently her pedal got welded, pretty much stuck to her shoe. Her pedal did, so that's funny. And
I missed that one.
yeah, I just saw where it was posted. And one other quick stupid thing, I think, back to the Cup race. We had Zane Smith, after he got in that wreck, he exceeded the DVP clock by just a couple of seconds. So NASCAR made him go back all the way into the garage and then turn around and come straight back out. He just had to go there to say he was there. And that's so stupid.
It's a rule.
Yeah, and that's the only thing I'll give him. But
Yeah. Hey, you want consistency. That's consistency.
yeah, I don't blame him on the call. There's got to be something better for that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm not getting into that. Anyway, y'all ready to get into some yellow tape takes?
Yes, sir.
I reckon.
All right. Who wants to lead us off?
I'll lead off.
All right.
Because I feel very strongly about this after watching the race, and it's something that I preach just about every week.
What is it?
And that's that these cars are just too darn stiff to be driving these road courses, at least for me. Yes, there was passing, there were some entertaining bits, but it just, you watch these races, and especially it got thrown into perspective a lot for me because I went back and watched some older, back in Earnhardt days or whatever when they were racing closer, cars, what you'd find off the dealership. But those cars, you could get them around a corner and they'd about spin their back end out, about like General Lee coming around the corner in the Dukes of Hazzard, and they'd still stay on the track and keep them. But these cars, you got to stop and you got to grab that wheel and you turn around the corner. They just look so darn stiff out there to be getting around these road courses, and it's too wide. Like, I also think they're too wide just to be driving these things, and it aggravates me watching it because I think road courses could really be a heck of a race, but just with these cars like this, I just can't get into it.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences in the cars now. The ones back then, they articulated a whole lot better and moved and twisted. And the way they're set up now with the arms that they have on them, they're just not going to be able to do that. But that's what we're going to have to watch. They're not changing it. They've done proven that. So
Yeah,
they're not. I mean, you look at the Xfinity cars. They still got truck arms under them.
Yeah.
They move around like that, and you can see things with different and better travel on them. So
Yeah.
The other side of that bothers it for me, I guess. I can't see them, so I don't care too much about the visual, I guess. But
yeah.
I don't like how stiff they are because I'm worried somebody's going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And they're working on stuff, but we just had, like we said, we didn't know if Bowman was racing this week because he hit last week. And I'm just worried that somebody's going to take a hit and it's not going to work out right. But
Yeah.
what are we going to do about it? They're not changing it.
No, we
Complain
talk
until they
about it.
change. We're going on strike. I'm walking up to Echo Park Speedway in a few weeks, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go, yeah, heck with you. Change your name back and give me better cars. That's exactly what I'm going to say.
I'll hold the sign for you. How about
Yeah,
that?
Go to Atlanta and tell them that.
All right. Who got another one?
Well, I want to get into the part about the discussion me and you had during the race
Okay.
about the pit stops and how that should work when they need to change the rain tires. We have different opinions there, I guess.
Yeah.
What's yours?
I think that these teams are the big boys. And they want to be treated like the big boys. They should make big boy decisions. They cry and cry when NASCAR does anything for them. And so when it starts raining, it shouldn't be NASCAR's job to say, okay, kids, y'all come on pit road, let's change our tires, and then we can start racing again. No, these are the best drivers in the world, supposedly. They can handle it. And these are the smartest crew chiefs. They can handle it. If it goes wrong, who cares? They made that choice. They live with it. But if NASCAR tells them to do something and it goes wrong, then they're just going to cry about it. So let it be their own fault. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, except for I got one different look on it. They are not weathermen. It's not their job to read the weather and figure out when it's going to do. When the NASCAR should dictate when you put rain tires on and when you don't. And that's just my opinion. We're just going to have to differ on that. But you can't predict when it's going to rain and when it's not going to rain.
Nobody can predict when it's going to rain, and they decide to stay out and hope it rains and wins the race either. So Chris Buescher won at Pocono doing that, and whatever car was running back then that shouldn't have won.
I just want the cars to be more equal. I don't want somebody, I wound up with the lucky tires out here because I didn't change them.
Well,
And it just happened to quit raining. I'd rather see them all on equal tires and racing with the same equipment, at least as close as they can get with the tire part of it. So that's just something we'll just have to disagree. And I see your point, but I just see it differently. What do you think, Connor? Crew chief's job or NASCAR's job to tell them to put tires on?
I think Austin's got a bit of a point, though. I think that it's almost like I say, I'm more like I think back to when I watch football and stuff like that, right? It's like the NFL is not going to tell them to stop and all just change to something in the middle of a game just because it's raining. They just tell them, hey, go back out there and play. If you want to change something up, that's up to your coach. So I think that it really is something where, it determines on strategy, and that's how you really filter out and see who is the best. Who's got a smart crew chief out here? Which driver thinks, knows about it? To a fair point, they aren't weathermen, but
they got the money to hire them, I can promise you.
Yeah, but I think it's almost ought to be kind of like how they do them, that soft tire option. You remember how they did that at Phoenix?
I don't like that either.
I don't care for it neither, but I think that it could be something similar to that, to where you do it off strategy. You only give them, pairs. So, obviously you give them more, but say, hey, you can only use 2 sets of slick tires right now, unless it just starts getting so bad to where everybody needs them or something. And then, you have something backup or whatever. But I think that there is a way around it where you could kind of almost cater to both. But I think to start out, especially earlier in the race when it started off that sprinkler or whatever, just let him decide for himself. Let him decide, hey, I think it's going to get worse, so I'm going to come in and get some already. Or, hey, I think it's going to be all right, stick on yellows.
We just know that how many times NASCAR tries to decide something for everybody and get their hands all over it, and it goes wrong, and what does everybody do on the internet?
Complain.
So, if anything, let's just let NASCAR not take one thing off their shoulders for people to point their finger at them. And
they already do enough dumb stuff. Why do they need one more?
I just want them to all be on equal footing, and it's just a difference of opinion. They're going to do what they do anyhow. So, but
even I heard, because NASCAR told them as far as getting to Mexico, because of all the travel difficulties and crossing the border, they told all the crews and all, we're getting y'all 4 or 5 planes or whatever, and everybody, we're all flying together. It's not up to Hendricks to get your people there and Gibbs to get your people there, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? The teams complained. They told NASCAR, if we do this next year, let us handle it. We don't want y'all trying to escort us there. We do this every week. We can get to Mexico too.
Yeah, but that don't affect the outcome of the race. And
it don't, but I just...
They had the deal back years ago when they had Hoosier fighting against Goodyear, and it just you had superstars because one tire was better one week and the other one wasn't, and it wasn't because the driver was better, it was because the tire was better.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to disagree.
Okay, we can do that.
I
ain't changing my mind, and I know you're not either. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's why we watch races, so we get our own opinions about them.
You want to go ahead and argue about the next one, or you want to wait?
No, go ahead.
All right. What is it?
Huh?
Go ahead and tell them.
No, this one's on you.
Well, what was it that you saying that crew chiefs hate road courses, right?
Huh? I think so.
Or that
I just think that I think that's probably their worst racing is trying to figure out road courses, and I think you were taking the opinion whether that's what they get paid for, that they're supposed to be the best in the world. And I don't know that we had as much of a disagreement about that. I just view it as, if I was a crew chief, this would be probably one of the worst races on me to have to call.
Yeah, I just look at it as, like you said, this is their job. This is what they're paid to do. 90% of the weeks, it is follow the leader. We're going to do this because everybody else did. And really, they don't have choices. And so I guess besides adjusting the car, they don't affect much. But if I was a crew chief and I'm being hired to strategize and win races, this would be like a dream come true because I can finally do something different. I can show everybody I'm smarter than y'all. I'm going to do this decision, and if it works out, I just proved to everybody this is why I'm smarter than you. And for once, it wasn't just because my driver had a good car and we followed the leader and won. No, I'm the crew chief. I said this is the pit stop strategy we were going on, and that's what ended up winning the race. It wasn't just because of track position and blah, blah, blah. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Connor?
I really don't have a dog in this fight. I don't, anything that's not follow the leader really is good for me. I get tired of that follow the leader stuff week after week. So, but I don't have a dog in the fight.
I don't like to follow the leader either, but I'll just say if I was a crew chief, I would hate these for that simple reason, because you can get beat by a car that's not half as good as yours because you had a caution at the exact right time to make things work out for you. And that can happen in other races, but not so much as it does here.
Yeah.
Or because you didn't pit 3 laps before the stage ends. You know, they got to figure out, do we need points or do we need a win? Well, only one person can win, so I think if it's me, I'm out there, let's get all the points we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but this would probably be more of a headache if you were a crew chief.
I got one I want to do, and this is going to be more on you than us because you've seen a few more years. Is SVG the best road course driver that NASCAR has had? Or do you think he can end up being?
Think so.
Yeah.
There's been some real good ones along the way. You had, Gordon and Wallace and several other ones that are along the way that were really superstars, but were they this much lights out better? I don't think so.
Well, that, and
when they get his car decent, he is bad to the bone.
What about the other guys that have been brought in, or like Juan Pablo and Marcus Ambrose?
Marcus Ambrose was really good, but he was just a little bit better in a lot of places than some of the other drivers. He wasn't just lights out like we've seen here.
How about Boris said it, that one?
Boris was good, and he's really got a lot of talent, a lot of skill. Already did years ago, but he never dominated any of them.
Yeah.
He's helped a lot of drivers. He's helped a tremendous amount of drivers get better at it. But Shane's just got it going on. I mean, he's just that much better.
Well, the numbers showed it. His 16.567 second win was the biggest since 2009, and that one was a fuel mileage race, really. So
yeah,
just straight up outrunning them. This is the biggest win since Jeff Bodine lapped the field in 1994 at North Wilkesboro. And apparently there's only been 12 wins in the last 30 years that are more than 10 seconds, and this is the third biggest one. So
yeah,
I guess if he does this a few more times, it won't be a debate.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell for sure, but when's the last time you saw a butt whooping like this?
I haven't in my lifetime.
No.
So I guess, yeah, 2009.
I mean, we've seen Truex get out front and run out there 4 or 5 seconds. We've seen Chase Elliott do it. You know, some other people more recently that have got out there and put 4 or 5 seconds on them. But just to cut their tail like he did yesterday.
There was a race, I want to say it was Kentucky, that Truex lapped up to like 7th place, but I don't know how big his lead was.
Now we're specifically talking road course right now.
Yeah, this is road course.
Yeah,
so.
that's all, yeah.
Nope. So, that was mine. Y'all got any other takes?
I think it was pretty much just a run-of-the-mill race other than some of that.
Yeah. I have a fun fact.
What is it?
That I thought was pretty neat. Is that the Mexico, the place that they raced at, was actually converted from a baseball field over there in Mexico. And I thought that was really funny because they're converting Bristol right now into a baseball field for the Braves game that they're about to play. So I just thought that was a really fun fact that I wanted to throw in there at the race somewhere, or in the show somewhere. So
that's cool.
I thought it was cool. I'm a baseball fan, so
one.
I thought it was. Oh, okay.
Shane was the first person to win his first 2 wins at inaugural events since Marvin Porter in 1960.
Oh.
And he's the 3rd driver to win his first 2 poles at road courses. The first 2 were Dan Gurney and Tyler Reddick.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's just fun facts.
Fun facts. Okay.
There's one other quick thing I did want to ask. Do you think, it's a hard question to ask after what he did yesterday, but just overall, going back to Coda, where that one was close, do you think this is the most competitive field of overall road coursers that we've had? Because 16 people in the field, which is almost half, have won a road course at some point. And like Shane walked off yesterday, but Bell's also been very good at him. Byron's been very good at him. Kyle Busch has.
Yeah, taking him out of the picture, I would say, yeah, it is, because you had eras of drivers that dominated at all the road courses.
Yeah, and
so I think, yeah, right now is probably taking Shane completely out of the picture. Yeah, you'd have a hard time saying, hey, this guy is going to win this week. If you take him out, who would you call to be the winner this week? You'd had a hard time. Some people would have said Larson. Things didn't go his way.
yeah, McDowell, AJ.
Right, yeah, but there's several you could throw in there, right?
Bowman.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. Should we have the conversation on whether he should be in the playoffs now?
Heck yeah.
Oh, man.
Should SVG be in the playoffs?
Everybody just say yes, yes, or no real quick. What do you say, Austin?
No.
What
No.
do you say? No.
No.
I say no, too. So, reason. Give you a reason for it. Start with you, Austin.
Because there's so many issues. Where to start? Number one, there shouldn't be 16 to begin with. Number two, it should be the actual best 16 over, this is number 3, all of the races, not just the first 26. But even if it is just the first 26, I want the final 16 to be the best 16 off of pure points. Now, if they get wins to get them there and that adds them up, like a Larson or whatever, cool. But if you're 33rd in points and you win a race, you should not get to jump over every single person that's outran you every single other week just because you ran good at one track type.
Well, I don't think I can say that any better.
Yeah, me neither.
I'll go with exactly that.
About what I had. I mean, he has not run good all year. I mean, this is a real Harrison Burton situation like it was last year. I mean, he got that one lucky win at Daytona, but did he run good the rest of the year? No.
All right, so since we're doing the championship thing here, Ronan, I'm going to throw out a new playoff idea that I had. I hadn't told nobody this. I'm the only one that knows about this, and I'm going to see what your thoughts are on it.
All right.
Here's my first thing. The first thing I think, to be automatically in the playoffs, I think you need to have 2 wins.
I actually had that thought earlier.
And maybe even 2 wins at 2 different type tracks.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily, but 2 wins. I mean, some guy could luck up twice at
SVG.
Yeah, two road course wins, right?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So maybe let's make it 2 different type tracks. It could go either ways. Then I think they need to, at the end of the day, if they want to do 16, 14, 12, 93, how many ever drivers you want to throw in it. I'm okay with the 16 number, but I think it should be less, really. Have 9 races. Have 9 races with every driver in it, whoever's in the top. At the end of those 9 races, if you have a win in those 9 races, you're automatically in the final. I don't care if you got 9 winners, if you got 3 winners, you got 2 winners. If you've got less than 4 winners, the top 4, including the winners and the 2 winners and the rest of the drivers that are the highest in the points, then they go for the championship. And I think that would make for a more exciting championship race, and maybe even a better chance for some people that you say, well, he really should have won. At least he'll have that shot at it.
I like that.
I mean, that changes up a lot, gives more drivers more opportunities. You got more people possibly in it at the end of the year, because usually I think you have more than 3 or 4 of the top-tier drivers that win in the 9 races. Usually it is a playoff driver that wins normally. So, yeah, just a thought, but everybody's wanting to change it, go back to the old style stuff. I don't think they'll ever do that. They've kind of proven that. They're not going to do that. So they want to change it up here and there. That's my ideas, and everybody's got their own. But I think the number one thing is, listen, you got to have more than one win, not just that one lucky win to get in. And like I say, maybe if we want to do something where it can be a road course and a super speedway, or just 2 different completely style tracks.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the better ones that they might actually look into, so I wouldn't mind it.
Well, no, it's not, because it's actually a decent idea. They won't look into. They don't do that.
No, they would.
They're not listening to me, but everybody's got their own opinion. You see 10 million different ideas online, and now you got 10 million in one.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all I got for takes. Y'all good on those?
Yep.
All right.
Let's
get into some rookie moves of the race. I got a whole laundry list. I think Frank does too.
I got a laundry list, but I got one in particular.
I have one.
All right. Well, who's your one? We'll get you. Go ahead and see.
Probably the obvious one is Hocevar. That move he made caused him to run in the Stenhouse. That's about the only one.
So that's a good one.
He was on my list, but he's not at the top of it.
I got a few. I don't know who I'm picking. I got Riley Herbst, one.
I'm with you there.
Because he had a top 10 going for the first time all season and was outrunning his teammates for the first time all season and left his pick box too early and had to back up. And then I got Hocevar. I got Priest because apparently he drove through too many boxes and that's what threw away his day. And I'm starting to notice a trend with him because this is the second time he's gotten a penalty, and apparently he went to NASCAR and said he wanted to see the video because I guess he didn't believe it. So he seems to start being that everybody but me category. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, I got Kyle Busch because he just screwed up. We all saw it. That's mine.
I got to put Kyle at the top of the list because too much experience. He knew what to do, and I'm telling you, I know you couldn't see it, Austin. You can't see it, but he drove in way too deep. Mm-hmm. It was one of those moves like Ross made when he drove in the corner of the road course and just took out people. What in the heck did he do that for?
Yeah.
So I got to give that one to Kyle.
Did you have any others I didn't say?
No, I had pretty much, but the only other thing I had was Herbst when he spun around on the track. I thought that was horrible. Mm-hmm. You just don't pull out in front, not knowing. And I know they don't have their spotter situated and everything's different, but he had room. He could have kind of got turned around on, and I know you're in a hurry to get back in the race, but he could have turned around by the wall and everybody was swinging out wide and been a lot safer because that was just about a terrible, terrible wreck. Yeah. But I got to give it to Kyle because he's better than that.
All right, well, we'll try to get a poll up for that on the social medias, and y'all can vote on it. We can see if y'all agree or disagree. Yep. Let's move into the crew cut. I don't think this week we got any particular crew members or crew chiefs we want to name, but I know for me personally, I'm giving the bad crew chief move of the race to any crew chief that chose to stay out both stages knowing they were not going to get any stage points.
Yeah.
Because they could have jumped a bunch of cars if they would have done short pitting. and I'd love to hear why they didn't.
Well, this is probably going to be one of the shortest segments we got because I agree with you 100%. It makes absolutely no sense to be out there running 14th, knowing you're not getting points, and you can come in and come back out. And instead of coming back out 23rd, you can come back out 9th. So.
Yeah. All right, next we got the youngster move of the race, the young guns that did good for the day.
Boy, I had 2 or 3 all day long. I had this one and that one. There were a couple of them that I thought they were going to be the one. They were going to be the one.
Like Herbst.
Like Herbst.
Yeah.
Like Ty Dillon.
Yep.
Even Gibbs, I still consider.
Yep.
I mean, like him, there were several of them. And at the end of the day, I got to give it to Nemechek.
Yeah, and that's who
Look.
I'm giving it to because he started 32nd and finished 6th.
He's had some decent runs this year,
Yeah.
but he's never in a race like this or in a race that mattered, that wasn't, drafting or whatever. He just has never been that solid, and he ran smooth. He didn't run nobody dirty. He just did what he had to do to get the points.
Yeah.
And I got to give it to him. But yeah, the other ones, Herbst was up there for a while. I said, boy, he's going to have him a good race. We can't talk bad about him this week. And
No.
Ty Dillon was just a shock to me where he was running, and then he winds up, I don't know what happened, but
Yeah, I don't know
winds
what
up way in
happened
the
to him
back
either.
there at the end. And maybe something bad happened. I don't know, because he did run a good race when he was up there as well.
My other honorable mention was going to be Cole Custer. This is his one on only top 10 all season. And that was all driving. That really wasn't strategy, I don't think.
Yeah.
Not completely. So I was shocked, but I got to give it to him because he started back in 26 too. So,
Well-
and then one more quick honorable mention I forgot. I want to throw a shout out to Noah Gregson. I don't know if y'all saw, but he totaled that car in practice, I think it was, and they went and talked to him. He was standing right there with his crew, doing whatever he could, and he told him, he said, I killed the car. It's part of my job to fix it too, and I can't help too much because I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do what I can.
Well, kudos to him. I didn't know that, didn't see that, so kudos to him. That impresses me.
And that's a rare thing to see nowadays. Not
Oh, yeah,
too many
you
drivers
usually
get out there and
well,
work on
you know
their
what,
car.
though? He didn't have a motorhome to go to.
Yeah, and I've saw some people say that, so I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a fan favorite because people like him. I think it might kind of be who he is. I don't.
Yeah.
Because we've also saw where he's one of the drivers that'll sign autographs, and he says you don't have to come to my hauler and buy something. I will just sign it.
Mhm.
So who knows?
Well,
I ain't gonna talk him down for doing it.
No, and he's another passionate racer. I don't know how much you've watched him, but he's one of those. And then he did a lot of bonehead things when he was in the Xfinity series, but he's another one that's real passionate about trying and wanting to race and do good
Yeah.
and race hard.
Yeah.
He just not in the right situation right now, I don't think, to show every bit of talent he's got.
No.
no.
Maybe it'll come.
We good on the youngsters?
Yes, sir.
I have.
All right.
I had one. Well, I had one. Mine don't really fit into the category y'all are doing because
Come on.
Okay,
Who
well,
is
see, I did not pick a youngster. I picked somebody because it's his first full year in the Cup race. So obviously, I picked Shane just because I thought, first full year in the Cup race, hadn't done good all season. He gets a win.
Well, that's something I was thinking, whether we should put him
You
into
know,
this
I know he's not a youngster, but he's.
or our next category, the vet of the day.
And that's the exact reason I didn't put him in there, because the next category.
But I figured he wasn't technically. He's not because it's his first full season.
Well,
so I figured he.
I know, and I thought about it the same way you did, but
Yeah.
I also look at it as he might not be a veteran in this car, but he's a veteran at this style.
Yeah.
And so I just.
He's my driver of the day. I'm making that special segment up right now. That's my
Okay.
little. that's
Yeah,
what
I have to give him the vet of the day. He just we've talked about it.
Yeah. I gave a couple honorable mentions to Bell and Bowman. Like we said, they finally had a good run, and Bell came from the back. But, yeah, it's got to go to Shane.
And his interviews were real good, too, so that's nice to see him.
Yeah.
He's real comfortable up there talking to people, which I'm
real
sure he has
colorful
to.
interviews.
Yeah, and I like the part where they told him to slow down, and he told him to shut up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I can understand that, too. You're out there in the car, you got your groove, things are going your way. Leave me alone.
Yeah, all the drivers talk about these things are getting into your rhythm and your routine. You don't
Yep.
want to screw it up. So
Yep, so he could have been both, I guess. He's the best rookie and the best vet. He
Yeah.
He definitely.
Yeah.
was in running for both of them. He's something special, and I'm glad to see him out there, honestly.
Yep.
A lot of other drivers aren't, or a lot of the drivers aren't, but
Yeah.
hey, I think it's good for the sport to have somebody coming there, and now they've got a new goal to shoot at.
How about some fan-fueled reactions? I got a couple of good things that I've seen. First off, we're getting pretty big fan base in the animals. We had some dogs on the track this weekend with some new squirrels, but
none were killed this week.
yeah.
So
Yeah, we don't have to say a prayer this week for no animals. So
Yeah.
that's a
Nope.
good thing.
And outside of that, I just saw a lot of fans, the complainers. They were mad, just they didn't want NASCAR Mexico. I saw some people saying this shouldn't have been taken from the second weekend at Richmond, which Richmond hasn't been amazing recently, so I don't really care. And then the people saying that Suárez win was rigged, but
Yeah, that was the biggest ones I saw was Suárez rigged, and the other big one I saw on the thing was the deal between Hocevar and Ricky. That people have gone. I mean, I've seen thousands of comments on that. But it's
Yeah.
funny because most of them are against Ricky, and I just don't quite understand that.
yeah. Well, just on the rigged, I don't think this one was rigged just because of how much it took for him to get there. I think, and they threw the caution when he had it in the bag, and made him have to do a restart. So either they went overboard with really scripting it, or it wasn't rigged.
They're a lot smarter than me and you if they can rig a race.
Yeah.
And it
I
ain't,
mean, I guess they could go on a plate track and let somebody cheat with their engine, or that they'd have to let somebody cheat at some track with a lot more power or tweaking their car with their handling. But as far as just determining an outcome of especially a road course race where it's real easy to get wrecked in, yeah,
It looked like most fans liked it, though. The good race poll is at about 74% yes. So,
yeah, well, that's good.
yeah. All right, some final green-white checkered takes. What you got?
It was good. Could have been better in some ways. I know that they were killing the horsepower with the altitude, so that made it hard for some of them to make moves that they otherwise might have been able to move. There again, what if we bumped the horsepower back up? Would it have made the passing a little easier for them there? I know that you're still going to be knocked down, but if they gave them another 100, they'd be back where they were. Would that made a difference in being able to get by somebody coming off the corner?
Yeah. So do y'all think they should go back?
Not every year.
no.
I say they should. I think so long as they figure out these issues they had with like figuring out radio frequencies, that was screwed up. They had a real safety issue. I don't know if y'all saw, but one of the planes with a bunch of the drivers and stuff, when they took off, the motor blew.
Yeah.
And that could have went real bad. But if they can get stuff like that straightened out, I really think it's good to expand out there, get the brand further. And these fans, like everybody said, they were so passionate. I think it's cool. They don't get to see this. This is the first time a lot of them have been in their life. I heard about fans that showed up. They took a 13-hour bus ride from wherever they live just to get to see this race. Other people, they were just standing there with their eyes closed, just smelling the environment, because it's just, they don't get to see these kind of things, and I think it's really cool. Heard there was a lot of promotion and signs up around the place. It seemed like a real passionate crowd that I think they deserve at least a race. I wouldn't mind it.
Does teams want to go through the logistics of this every year and the cost? You can imagine what it costs them to
No,
get down
but
there.
that's not my problem. So
Yeah, I understand. Okay, but I think it's a special race. Let's do it every now and then, not every year. But if they do, it wouldn't break my heart. I'd just like to see them be able to tweak a few things on it to make the race a little more competitive if possible.
I know there are other tracks that I would like to see in its place.
if
Different places to go.
If they do go back, a couple things. Apparently, they didn't take like any merch haulers, and a lot of the fans there were kind of upset because they didn't have any options to get stuff. So that was a big miss.
I bet they got computers down there and they can go online and order stuff
Yeah,
too.
they
I
can.
understand there's something about buying at the track. When my youngest son used to go to the races with me, that we spent half of the day at the haulers,
Yeah.
looking at stuff. Daddy, I want this. Daddy, I want that. And we spend a ton of money. And
Yeah.
I know you do too. So
I do
that's
too.
part of the experience. So yeah, if they could add that to their experience, I'm sure it would be better.
They said that the officials went around and gave some of the track workers just lug nuts off the Xfinity cars, just
Huh.
I guess because they felt like it. And they said those people were just so amazed that they got a Xfinity car lug nut.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want them to please make it easier. I don't think anybody's giving enough credit to the hauler drivers. These people had to come all the way from Michigan, all the way down here to Mexico, and they're going all the way back up to Pennsylvania. I can't imagine how much driving that
What'd you
is.
say about the crew chiefs? That's their job.
Yeah.
It's a very demanding job,
Yeah.
too.
And they also get to go to watch every race of the season for free too. Would you
Yeah.
take that job? Heck yeah.
I wouldn't mind it. But I also wouldn't want to be responsible if I made a bad turn or cut the
Oh,
corner a little
no,
too
no,
close and
no.
end up scraping off half of Larson's trailer decal or something, you know.
Yeah. No, they've got I'm sure strict standards for who their drivers are.
I wouldn't want to deal with all
Yeah,
that.
you can say all you want. At least give them credit. That is a
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
giving them credit. I'm just messing with you, picking at you about the earlier conversation we
Yeah.
had.
All
What
right.
do you think about the fact now we got 2 track house teams in the playoffs? Are
Yeah,
we going to
that-
get a third? Do you think Suárez is going to get maybe another Atlanta win
He could.
that we'll be at? We're all going to be there at the Atlanta track
Yeah.
watching
That's
that
right.
race.
Yep. If y'all see us, say something.
Come wave.
But
Do you think he is or not? Not necessarily Atlanta, but anywhere. Do you think he'll squeeze one in? Because I'm sure Trackhouse is pushing now to see if they can get him in there.
with
I
how he's
doubt
been
it.
running, no. I
I
don't think
doubt
he's
it.
got it this year.
I don't think he will either, but it would be kind of neat to see a smaller team like that have all 3 cars in. Something
Yeah.
a little different.
There you go.
And I've become more of a fan of his over the last few years. I wasn't at first, honestly. But,
Yeah.
But I think he's a pretty good guy.
Yep.
And he worked hard to get a NASCAR ride. He just didn't come up here and it was, I don't know what kind of money he had, but it wasn't one of these kids that come in. Daddy's got money. Put me in a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into track back. A little bit of news from the past week. Connor, I know you got a couple things. You want to run through them real quick?
Yeah. First one I'd like to run through. One I actually watched today is the American Thunder documentary. Came out on Prime this past week. Very good documentary. For those that don't know what it's about the NASCAR car that they built for Le Mans in 2013. And Le Mans, of course, is a 24-hour race. And they had Jenson Button. I know Jimmy Johnson. I forget who the last driver is. He won Le Mans twice, though. I think it was Rock something. Rock was in his name somewhere. I can't even remember.
I know who it was, but I can't think of it.
But I literally watched the thing today, and I can't even remember. I'm so screwed up. Anyways, but it was a very good documentary. Showed you a lot of the process of how it worked and all that stuff, and it was very interesting to see what went into that. Another thing I'd like to talk about, I'm such a big video game guy. NASCAR 25 got a lot of updates this week, and the biggest one I'll go ahead and highlight is that they're aiming to release the game in September or early October. So for anybody out there that plays video games and has wanted a good NASCAR game for a while, because let's be honest, 21 Ignition and all the Heat games weren't very good. So this is one I'll be looking out for because iRacing is making the game. And the last big thing I want to throw in there, I got another few I'll throw in a little later, but I'd like to give a special shout out to one of the best NASCAR movies ever made, Cars, which is not an official NASCAR movie, but it has a lot of Cars drivers in it. It's got Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. Turned 19 this past week on June 9th. So
Are they making a
thought
new
that
one?
was who the heck knows? It's Disney. They'll squeeze so much money out of that stuff for it.
Speaking of special cars that were built, did y'all see the interview between Kenny and Rusty talking about Rusty running the car?
Yeah.
240 something
Oh,
miles an
gosh.
hour,
Yeah.
and how
Somewhere
scary it
At
was.
Talladega.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can you imagine being able to get to go that fast in a car around the
No.
track and knowing you got to turn?
Yeah. Oh, that'd be crazy.
I mean, at some point, the Bernoulli effect's got to come into play where the car's just going to start lifting off the ground. When you start getting more air under that car than you got on top of the car, it's coming up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes the airplane lift is you got more air under the wing than you got on top of the wing, and it's coming up. It's the same with a car or anything.
Getting those flying cars.
Yeah.
Well, I want to bring it back into the racing a little bit, or the season, I guess. Denny had his baby and was given a waiver.
Well, that's got a lot to do with racing.
Yeah.
Denny had a baby.
And was given a waiver.
Okay.
Oh, so
for
his
the
baby's
playoffs.
racing now, right? That's what you're about to lead into. His baby's
Waiver
already-
for the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Even though the baby was born on Wednesday, 5 days before the race. And I don't want to hear about Larson's waiver last year. This is a separate event. Do we think he should have been given this waiver? Because I don't.
I get very split on it because I think that, you know, a lot of jobs, you know, demand different things and stuff, but most workplaces you get maternity leave, and then sometimes fathers get about a week off, you know, to stay with the mom, help them, you know, adjust back after having the baby and all that stuff. But, you know, this job demands a lot more than just your average school teacher or something like that, you know. Got to be all over the place, got a lot of things to do with press and all that stuff. So it's hard, but especially, like you said, looking back last year on Larson's waiver, everybody's mad at him. People are mad at him. They're like, why did he get one? I'm like, well, he on one hand, he was doing something to benefit
I don't
the
even want to
sport.
compare them.
I know, but I'm saying like that's what I'm thinking back to, though, when I thought about it and made me go, does he really deserve one, though? Because it's like he didn't do anything to really promote the sport or anything like that. But fatherhood is a very important deal, so it makes me split.
The rule childbirth was a waiver. They would get one, but when the child was born like Wednesday and the race is on Sunday, that's just ridiculous. Plenty of other drivers have, I'm sure, gotten way closer and been fine. And it was in Mexico. I don't know.
That had to be a tough call for NASCAR, though. You think about it. What happens if they say, no, Denny, you're not getting a waiver, you're out? How many fans are going to be pissed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, what's going to happen to, you know, your female fans that go, wait a minute now, I had a kid, my husband can't be there? That's what NASCAR's saying now?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that had to be a little tough on them to say no, I would think.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from. A lot of drivers have had kids and done different things, but Denny's done enough in the sport.
Yeah.
Let it ride.
All right. Sadder one. We had Charlie Henderson pass away this past weekend. He was the owner of Henderson Motorsports. I think they mainly ran in the truck series. And they say he started racing in '75 and has been in NASCAR since '82, second only behind the Wood brothers in ownership. So haven't heard much about it, and I think that's somebody that deserves a mention. Parker Kligerman drives their '75 truck. People have probably seen, they're the ones that got thrown out at Daytona. And Parker said that they believed in him when a lot of people didn't, and that Charlie always just said, what do you need? Even if I ain't got the money, what do you need? And we will win. And it just sounds like a good guy.
Yeah.
And I don't have much anything else. Y'all good?
I think I'm good. That covers most of what went on this week that I know of. I'm sure there were other things that we didn't see, but we'll read about them this week because we don't
The
never
only
quit
thing
looking.
coming to Pocono, they say Brendan Poole's going to try to run Cup, but that's it. All right, so let's try and do a quick game. We want to do pit stop panic. Connor, you got the list?
I got a list. I think it's right. Yeah, no, it's fine.
All right. Can you set a timer somehow?
I'll pop one right up here on my phone. That'll probably be the easiest.
All right,
one
so
for me
Connor's going to
monitor.
set a 1 minute timer, and me and Frank are going to name as many Cup champions as we can. I think we were told there's a total of 36. Connor, let us know. Count us down.
All right.
Frank, you can go first.
All right, Richard Petty.
Wait,
No,
I
hold on,
hadn't even
Oh, wait.
started yet. You cheating already? That's a
He
penalty.
told me to go.
No,
All right.
that's a penalty. We'll have to deduct
I
points
said you
later.
could
It'll
start.
be under review by the NASCAR board. All right. In 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, Richard Petty.
Larson,
Dale Earnhardt.
Logano.
Yeah, I'm already screwed up.
Oh, come on.
Man, there's some very well-known ones in this.
Bill
Kyle-
Elliott.
Kyle Busch,
Darrell Waltrip.
Jeff Gordon,
Jimmy Johnson.
Chase Elliott.
Rusty Wallace.
Oh, Kurt Busch.
Kyle Busch.
I already said
say
it.
him. Oh, I'm not paying attention. Benny Parsons.
Matt Kenseth.
Yeah.
Ned Jarrett.
Tony Stewart.
Oh, Lord, you're killing me here. I'm
Don't
not the
choke.
stat guy like you,
There's,
huh?
there's like
This
a,
ain't
I know there's a lot more, but I just
Brad Keselowski.
yeah.
Who else? Blaney. Nobody said
Dale
Blaney.
it's
Jarrett.
time.
All right, well, there we go.
Man, y'all missed some of the ones I was waiting on.
Alan Kowicki. Yeah, I can think of some. I can't come
Y'all
off the
say
top of my
Blaney?
head that fast.
Hey, y'all don't
somebody-
know how hard it is when somebody says go. You just start blanking out.
One of y'all said
sometimes.
Blaney, right?
Yeah, I
Austin,
did.
Austin did.
Did
You-
anybody
you-
say? Did anybody say Harvick?
No.
No.
Nobody said Harvick.
You were looking at a list, fool.
I'm just. Nobody said Lee Petty. Did
No.
y'all say Pearson?
You give me 30 minutes, I'll come up with all of them. But not in one.
Yeah, you hit that starter and you start blanking out.
Well, they were just some. I figured they
Oh,
were big
well.
enough names where
They
they roll
were.
right off the head.
All
They
right.
were. We
So
did our
we
best.
failed at that task, or I did anyhow.
We'll try something new next time.
Yep.
All right. Let's get into our quick picks for Pocono. I'll go first. I got mine ready. I'm just throwing them out there. Denny, Larson, Bowman. The only one I want to say is I think Bowman might have the ship turned around. I'm expecting a little more out of him. That's my three. Who y'all got?
I'm going to go with Denny, too, and I'm going to go with Chase, and I think I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs.
All right.
I think I'm gonna go with Denny. With the rest of y'all, I think I'm gonna go with Blaney. I expect for him to get up there, and we won last year, and then I'm gonna probably take Larson too.
All right. So that's been this week's edition of the Rookie Lap. If y'all want to tune in next week, please do so. Look for us on the socials.
They'll be in the description of the video.
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, X,
Facebook.
Facebook. So we'll see y'all next week. Take care.
Peace out.
Bye bye.
Coming to the checkers, and there. Good job. You only pissed off 87 other drivers, 912 fans, and set the sport back another 53 years. Just pay the $20,000 fine, and we'll try it again next week.